Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Blank, and I'm a Director of Alumni Engagement at Regis. I'm pleased to welcome you to the Office of Alumni Engagement's October webinar. Before we move into the presentation itself, I wanted to take a minute to explain how this webinar will flow. After this brief introduction, we will move into about a 30-minute presentation. Afterwards, there will be a question and answer session for the remainder of the hour. Attendees will be muted the entire time. If you have a question, and we definitely encourage questions, please submit it using the questions and answers function at any time. I will review the questions throughout the session and moderate the Q&A with the presenter by asking your questions. The chat feature is also disabled, so I don't miss anything. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the new Regis University Alumni Association YouTube channel. Tomorrow you will receive a follow-up email with the link to the channel as well as some additional information. It's now my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Ken Quigley. Ken is currently Director of Risk and Threat Management at Charter Communications. He has 20 years of information technology experience, with 18 of those years in cybersecurity. He specializes in identifying and communicating risk. Ken obtained a Master of Science in Computer Information Technology with honors from Regis and holds multiple industry certifications. Today, Ken will generously share his cybersecurity knowledge and experience with us. He will provide tips to minimize your risk while shopping online and engaging on social media. He will also talk about ways to manage your online footprint so you're more secure. He will inform you about an online site that tracks you and maintains a profile on you and what you can do about it. He'll even provide some tips for those of you with the voice-controlled personal assistant system, Alexa. So thank you, Ken, for sharing your expertise with us. Now, without further ado, Ken Quigley.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone. I hope I live up to the introduction. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And as Jennifer mentioned, I'm going to take you through some online shopping tips, some security settings for different social media. You know, as a security professional, my hope is that I hope you learn some things, but I hope that the vast majority of this may not be new, and that we're going over things that hopefully you're aware of, and that this is a reinforcing, because security, being a security professional and being in the industry for 18 years, one of the things I've really come to believe and advocate is that security really starts with the users, and we're all responsible for our security and paying attention and making sure that we're secure online. So with that, let's take a look. I'm going to talk about some online shopping tips, and I will go into each of these in detail. I think the original introduction said I would have the top 10 tips, but I decided to go ahead and give a bonus and do 11 because they were good. So with that, starting off, use familiar websites. So when you're shopping or when you're going online, one of the things that you really need to pay attention to, it's always better if you go off of a bookmark or if you go directly to a site. So www.amazon.com instead of using a search. Okay, everybody loves Google. Everybody uses Google. So do the bad guys. So when you're going to a shopping site, especially, try to go directly to that site. If you do use a search engine, pay attention to the URL, pay attention to where you're going, and make sure it's where you think it should be. Make sure you're going to Amazon.com, not AmazonShopping.com. Also, watch your spelling. Spelling is notorious. You know, if you go to A-M-A or A-N-A-Z-O-N, Amazon, there's probably a website out there, and it probably looks a lot like Amazon, and they'll be more than happy to take your information and make you think that you're going to get all kinds of goodies, but indeed what they're doing is stealing your information. So watch your spelling. Also, watch your domain or the letters that come after the dot. So you have www.amazon.com. If you're not careful, you'll wind up going places that you don't want to go. Early on in my career in cybersecurity, I thought, wow, I had found something really, really exciting because I wanted to go out to the White House site. I wanted to go out to www.whitehouse.gov. I went out to www.whitehouse.org and found a parody site. And I was like, oh my goodness, the White House got hacked. No, whitehouse.org is a parody site. I actually captured this image from this morning, and it stays current with the current president. So it really is a interesting site. I don't think it's safe for work, so I would not try going to it at work. But if you're trying to go to .gov, make sure you do go to .gov. The next tip, look for the lock. I think we've all heard this before. That lock up there in the corner on your browser indicates that you're using secure protocols. You're either using secured socket layer or transport layer security. And what this does is it provides encryption between your browser and the end server. It eliminates somebody's ability, a man in the middle or a bad guy, it eliminates their ability to sit and capture your traffic and read what you're entering into Amazon.com or wherever you're going. It also provides validation of the server. So it uses a certificate to encrypt the traffic, and that certificate is issued by a certificate authority that validates the identity of the website. One thing to be very, very careful of is if you're going to a site, if you put in https://www.amazon.com and you get an error message like I've got an image that says this security certificate presented by this website was not issued by a trusted certificate authority, that indicates trouble. And it probably indicates that you are not going to the site that you think you're going to. So check your URL, go back to your bookmarks, and make sure you are going where you think you're going. Next, don't tell all. No online shopping site, not a single online shopping site needs your social security number or your birth date, ever. Don't give more information than is being asked for. And if they're asking for information like your birth date or your social security number, that is not a legitimate site. When you combine that with your address or credit card number, that's a disastrous situation. That's key to your ID being stolen. So don't put your information out there. Default to the least amount of information as possible. A lot of times, these sites will put a star or highlight in a specific color those areas that are required. Put the required information in. You don't have to put any more information in. Just put what they're asking for and move on. And if you're suspicious, leave the site. If they're asking for stuff you're not comfortable with, leave the site. Another tip, check your sites. Check your statements. You don't have to wait until the end of the month when you get your credit card statement to look at it. Go online, check your statements. If you've been doing a lot of online shopping, if you've gone out to Amazon or Alibaba or some of the other shopping sites, and you've been spending some money out there, jump on your credit card site and make sure that the charges that are on your credit card match what you've actually been purchasing. And over the next several months, as we go into the holidays, keep an eye on your statement. If you see something suspicious, notify your bank or your credit card company as soon as you see it. You really need to do this because a lot of times your bank or your credit card may have a limit as to how long you have to report fraud. It may only be 30 days. So as soon as you see it, report it. Inoculate your PC. We've heard this over and over and over again, but it's amazing how many people don't have antivirus or their antivirus is out of date. It is very, very important to go out and find your antivirus. Also, make sure that your operating system is up to date. Um, the Windows and Apple iOS operating systems both have auto updates. It used to be auto updates was a bad thing, but the companies have gotten a lot better in making sure that the updates are good and don't break things. I have auto updates turned on my PC, so very, very important to make sure that you're staying up to date. Also, make sure that your applications are up to date, and this includes your browsers. If you're using a operating system supplied browser, either Internet Explorer or Safari, it'll get automatically updated as you do updates to your operating system. If you are like me and you use Chrome or some other browser, make sure you keep that browser up to date. I did put a link there out on PCMag.com. They've got a very good review of some of the antivirus products out there. Take a look. Some of them are free. I prefer actually paying for your antivirus. It's a small price to pay for keeping your PC as safe as possible. Next, use strong passwords. This is one of my favorites. Underwear, the underwear meme. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but your passwords should be like your underwear. Change them often, never share them with anyone, and for the love of God, keep them off your desk. Don't display them in public, okay? Really good rules for your password. Nobody should ever ask for, and you should never share your password with anyone, okay? And nobody should be asking to see your password. So as far as passwords go, complex is good, you know, and complex means using uppercase, lowercase numbers, special characters. Long is better. The longer that you make your password, the better. But long and complex is the best. And there's a site out here, out on grc.com, that actually you can type in a proposed password and you can see how long it would take a hacker to crack that password. So imagine you put in P12345, it's going to be cracked in minutes. If you put in a better password, it'll take longer. One very good suggestion for using passwords is to use a passphrase as opposed to a password. And a passphrase would be something like, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And so if you were to use that, you would just basically type that in, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. You could use uppercase, lowercase. You could maybe substitute numbers for some of the letters. That way, it's a passphrase that you're very aware of. It could be your favorite quote from a movie. It could be your favorite passage from a poem. It doesn't matter. The longer, the better, and then you can make it complex. To take it one step further would be to use your passphrase, but then use the first letter of each word of your passphrase. That would give you basically a completely and totally random, unrecognizable password. And again, the longer the better. Do not reuse passwords. This is one that's very difficult for everybody. You get your favorite password, you use it online, you use it on Facebook, you use it on Amazon, and pretty soon you're using it at your bank. And guess what? If it gets compromised on Facebook, now they have your email address and your password, and they can start looking for you at your bank, especially if you bank at one of the large national banks, Citibank or US Bank or something like that. Another good tip, use a password manager. There are very good tools out there that allow you to use a password manager, and then you only have to remember the password to the password manager. And the password manager handles all of the other passwords for you. Some of them will even create the complex long password. You never have to see it. All you have to do is open your password manager and access your website from there, and it'll automatically use the passwords that's stored in the manager. Next, think mobile. A lot of people use their mobile phones. They're out at a brick and mortar. They're using mobile phones for comparison shopping. I do this all the time. I'll be out at Best Buy or Home Depot, and I'll jump on there to take a look and see, okay, are there better products out there? Can I get this for a lower price on Amazon? that type of thing. A lot of people, though, shy away sometimes from using their mobile device to actually make purchases. They'll go back and they'll use their laptop or so forth. There should be no reason that you should be worried about using a mobile device to make purchases versus your laptop or your home computer. One thing to make sure of, though, is if you are shopping mobile, use the mobile apps that are provided by the retailer. You can go out to the app store and you can say, okay, show me apps for Amazon, or show me apps for Home Depot. You have to make sure it's the one from Amazon or from Home Depot. There are a lot of fake apps out there and they look real. They'll even offer discounts. They'll say, hey, use our app, we'll give you 10% off. Well, they'll give you 10% off, but they'll also take 100% of your information. So be very, very wary of sketchy or unknown shopping apps. Avoid public terminals. Public terminals are a very bad idea. Whether it's at the library or wherever a public terminal is supplied, it's a bad idea even to do something as simple as check email. In today's age with mobile devices and everything that we have, this is not so much a threat anymore, but there are times like when I travel, there are times when you're forced to use a public terminal at the hotel to print your boarding pass or whatever. Of course, printing your boarding pass, everybody uses mobile boarding passes now, right? But if you are there and you're using it, there's a couple of things that you can do. Make sure that you log out of the app that is on the public terminal. Also go in and clear your history, clear your cookies, to make sure that there's no footprint left as you leave that public terminal. So what about using your laptop away from home? You know, that's what we have laptops for, so that we can go to Starbucks or Barnes & Noble or wherever and use our laptop and be away from home. One of the biggest things is be aware of your surroundings. I always say, think like a gangster, you know, like Al Capone here. You know, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of who's around you and what they're doing. If at all possible, find a place to sit where nobody can look over your shoulder. I know I'm a security professional, so I sound very paranoid, but when I go into restaurants or when I go into Starbucks and I'm on my laptop, I make sure that nobody is surfing over my shoulder as I type in my password or type in other information. Number 9, privatize your Wi-Fi. Only use Wi-Fi from known hotspots. So if you are out and about and you want to use Wi-Fi, make sure that you're going out to and you're using the ones at Starbucks or McDonald's or Barnes & Noble. You know, don't just pick you know, my free Wi-Fi or something like that. Look for known Wi-Fi names. Anymore, AT&T, Xfinity, even where I work, Charter Spectrum, we supply free Wi-Fi hotspots. And so what you're going to be looking for is AT&T or Xfinity or Spectrum or something like that. Stay away from, you know, the Wi-Fi hotspots that say, yeah, use this hotspot or free hotspot. You got to be very suspicious of those. When you do connect to a free Wi-Fi hotspot, make sure you go through that walled garden. That's that website that pops up. You connect to, you know, it's even at King Soopers. You go shopping at King Soopers, pull out your mobile phone and connect to the King Soopers Wi-Fi. It takes you to a page that says you're now entering King Soopers Wi-Fi. Click, I agree to accept the terms of service. Make sure you go through that type of walled garden so that you are sure you're going on to the hotspot that you think you're going on to. And then finally, you can use VPN or virtual private networking. You don't have to, everybody uses it work because work forces us to connect via VPN, but you can actually get a personal VPN and use that when you're connecting. Again, PCMag.com has some reviews on some personal VPNs that you can go out and take a look at. And that way, everything that you do is encrypted, and you have to be less likely somebody sitting there and sniffing your traffic. Number 10, count the cards. Credit cards versus debit cards versus gift cards. use credit cards whenever, instead of debit cards. You should always use credit instead of debit. Credit cards have better protection than debit cards do. If a credit card gets stolen, a lot of times your credit card company will limit your liability, not necessarily with the debit card. So use credit cards instead of debit cards. The only caveat I will say to that is if you don't like using credit cards, I'm one of those people that really don't like using credit cards, you can go ahead and open a separate account with your bank where you're going to use it for your online shopping. Open that account, get a debit card for that account, and then only put money in that account when you're going to be doing online shopping. That way, if your debit card number gets stolen, there's no way the thief can get to your actual accounts. Gift cards are a very good alternative to credit cards. I use gift cards all the time. My entire Amazon account, my entire iTunes account are funded by gift cards. As a matter of fact, my last vacation last summer was entirely paid with gift cards, both airfare and hotel and everything like that. One big thing about gift cards, though, make sure that you're paying attention where you get your gift cards. It's much better to get them at a brick and mortar store, go to Safeway, King Soopers, Walmart, and get your gift cards there. Be aware of online gift card auctions. A lot of times people will go out there and they'll auction off gift cards and they'll say, yeah, it's $100 for at Home Depot. And you get it and there's no money on it, or there's only $75 or something like that. So be very, very careful of online auction and the scams there. And then know what's too good to be true. We all know about the Nigerian prince, offering you $50,000 if you give him five. It's always too good to be true. There is a very good website out there, betterbusinessbureau.org. Actually has the 12 scams of Christmas. Well worth taking a look at. It takes you through some of the more nefarious scams that are out there. And I look at it this way: the more we educate ourselves, the more we're aware of these type of scams, the more likely we are to recognize them for what they are. Scams can be product related, they can be job related. You have to be really, really careful, and they come in every different facet. There are different vectors that you're going to get scams thrown at you. It may come across email, it may come across text, social media. I had actually grabbed an image from my Facebook account, and I forgot to post it here. I apologize. It was this what looked like a handwritten note somebody posted saying, "Hey, save money on your mortgage. Go to," and it gave a link, and I'm like, really? Okay, that's what you're going to put out there for people to go save money on their mortgage. I didn't check to see if it was legitimate. I looked at that and I went, wow, that's just crazy. And I apologize. I should have had it on here because it was humorous. And also be aware of anyone, including your friends, asking for money. Okay, we all get wrapped up in fundraising and things like that, and there are some very legitimate ways. I just contributed to Alzheimer's Foundation, but in doing that, you have to make sure that you know what you're donating to or you're sending money to. If a friend is sending you an email going, "Oh my goodness, I'm overseas and I ran out of money," call that friend and find out if they are overseas. More than likely, they're not, and somebody's trying to scam you. So those are the top 11 tips for trying to stay safe online. Now I'd like to go into a little bit of some different accounts, some different ideas on how to keep safe on Amazon, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So the Amazon is very interesting. As I was doing the research for this webinar, I do a lot of, if you can't tell, I do a lot of shopping on Amazon. So I am very careful and try to be as cautious as possible when I am shopping on Amazon. But I found out that there are things on Amazon that I was not aware of, that Amazon was doing some tracking and so forth that I was not aware of. And so I actually spent some time cleaning up my profile. First and foremost, edit your Amazon public profile. On your profile, you have multiple different settings that control what people see when you are having when you have activity on Amazon. You can set it so that you're completely anonymous. You can set it so people see when you purchase things or when you submit reviews and so forth. You can also submit the name people see. Pretty straightforward. You go out on Amazon, you look at the reviews, and you see, reviewer 123. Obviously, that's not somebody's real name, but it's worthwhile going out and changing your own online persona so that you're not using your real name. If you have the Alexa, mine's actually probably going to go off now, because I actually have the service here at the house. And one of the things that you want to do is you want to go out to the app on your mobile device, and you can get onto there and you can take a look at your recordings. As a security professional, when I first, it was given to me as a gift, so I'm like, well, do I really want to deploy this? And I was worried about it, and I did some research, and the fact of the matter is, what is recorded is very, very small snippets. So it gets recorded once you say the command, the key command word. It'll record 2 or 3 words after that. So the recordings are very small. There's not a lot of information that's recorded, but it's a good idea to go out, take a look at what is being recorded, and delete what you don't want to be there. I've done this several times, and I've found nothing nefarious, but I do go out and delete the recordings just so that they're gone. Back to the Amazon website, make sure lists private. If you have wish lists, make sure that they're private. If you do want to share your wish lists, do not make them public. Make sure that you share them with either your family or your friends or certain individuals as to what those wish lists are. You can also stop Amazon from tracking your browsing. So this is both good and bad. This is where Amazon makes suggestions. You go out and you're looking for the latest electronic gadget or whatever, new shoes or whatever, and it tracks what you're looking at so that it can make suggestions for you to say, hey, you might be interested in this. If you're paranoid like me and you don't like people tracking you, you can go out and remove all of that information. Emily Price out on Lifehacker has a very good article on how to go about eliminating that. So if you go out and take a look at that article, it'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to eliminate that tracking. Next, back to Alexa. I guess I should have organized these a little bit better. I apologize. Back to voice purchasing with the assistant there. You can go on to your, again, the app, the mobile app on your device, and you can go out and there's a setting where you can turn on secure voice purchasing. When you do so, you will have to enter a 4-digit PIN that you will then have to speak before you can do any online purchasing. A very good thing to do. It prevents other people from being able to purchase things or force you to purchase things through Amazon. The reality is they're going to show up on your doorstep anyway, and you can send them back, but that's a major hassle. It's a good idea to go ahead and secure the voice purchasing. And then and you're going to see the next tip on each of the social medias is enable 2-step verification. This is a technique where you go in and you say, okay, I want to enable 2-step verification, and anytime you sign into Amazon from a brand new web browser that you've not used before, it's going to ask for a security code. That security code is sent by Amazon to your mobile device. So you get it on your mobile phone, you then enter that information into your web browser, boom, you're authenticated, and you can carry on with your shopping. What this does is ensures that nobody is able to get to your Amazon account, even if they get your username and password. They still will not be able to log in because you have that second factor authentication. Moving on to Facebook. Facebook security That's kind of an oxymoron. They might be getting a little bit better, but we have to again pay attention, and as users, we have to make sure that we're taking charge of our security. They do have a tool out there. It's called Security Checkup. If you go out to this link, it'll walk you through how to perform security checkup, and it will help you do things like log you out of unused browsers. Facebook is notorious for you just close the browser, you stay logged in. Very convenient, makes it easy every time you want to go browse on Facebook. But if you're using a friend's computer, or if you go against my advice and use a public terminal, then you stay logged in on Facebook and you may not be aware of it. This tool helps you go out and identify which browsers you're logged in, and actually log off of those browsers. It also will give you an alert when somebody tries logging into your account from an unrecognized device, so you can set this up. So you will get a text message saying, hey, somebody tried to log in from an unknown browser. Is this you? A very good setting, and one to track. It'll also give you some suggestions on how to protect your password, but we don't need that anymore because we're going to think about passwords just like underwear. The next is keep tabs on app permissions. If you use apps on Facebook, the different apps can have different permissions and can share different information. You can actually go out to this link, see what apps you have installed, see what information permissions are actually allowed to those apps, and you can change those and make it so the apps only have the permissions you want. You can also control the ads that you see. USA Today's got a very good article on how to go out and control and limit what ads you're seeing on Facebook. I'm sure that if you're out on Facebook at all, you're pretty much tired of the ads as I am. So you can go out and tailor what you see. You can limit the audience of your posts. Most everybody that's on Facebook knows this, but it's worth repeating. You can actually set it up so only your friends see your posts. Everybody can see your posts. Of course, as a security professional, I recommend limiting who sees your post to only your friends. Timeline and tagging. So there are settings for who can actually post on your timeline, who can do what on your timeline, and who can tag you in photos. This is a big one, that most parents really need to pay attention to with their children, especially tagging of photos. Too often, the kids go out there and they'll take group shots, and somebody else will post it up on Facebook and tag your daughter or your son in the picture, and all of a sudden now your children have a wider online footprint than you're aware of than you may want. Again, something that's up to you guys, and I, again, being a security professional, I try to make sure that very few people have the ability to tag me or my family in photos. And again, two-factor authentication, just like I talked about with Amazon, works exactly the same way. Anytime you log into a new browser, into Facebook from a new browser, it will send you a authentication code that you then have to enter in. A really, really good idea. Highly recommend you use it wherever you can. And most people know this one: don't accept friend requests from people you don't know. Pay a lot of attention, and make sure that the people who are sending you friend requests are actually people that you do know, and somebody isn't trying to scam you. And then last, watch your profile picture. This one, a lot of people don't think about. My niece, several years ago, got a brand new car, and she was all excited. Had a really nice car, and she took a picture of her standing by the car, and it was a great picture. She was very, very cautious to make sure that the picture did not show the license plate. So she took a picture of it standing next to the driver's side over her shoulder of the windshield. And it was a really great picture. The only problem was that she didn't capture the license plate, but she got the sticker from the county that she lived in. So now people know, this is, my niece's name, and she lives in this county. Be aware of the information that you're bleeding when you do your profile pictures. It's always fun to have really interesting profile pictures and so forth. Just be aware. Um, LinkedIn security. Everybody uses LinkedIn as a great tool for online job hunting. I have a LinkedIn profile, use it very, very heavily. And it's our way in the professional world of getting our information out there so that we can find that really awesome, perfect job, which I was lucky enough to find a year and a half ago now that I'm at Charter. But update your privacy settings. There are certain settings in LinkedIn, just like with Facebook and Amazon, that you want to make sure that you're taking care of. One is turn off activity broadcasts. Anytime you make changes to your LinkedIn profile, if you have activity broadcasts turned on, that's going to send that information out to all of your contacts. If that's what you want to do, excellent. If you don't want to bleed that kind of information, turn it off. Select what others can see when you viewed their profile. So when you go out and you view Ken Quigley's profile, I can check to see who's looked at my profile, and I can see information about you. And you can set it up to be anonymous. You can set it up for just your name, or you can set it up so that your entire profile is now visible to me. Select who can see your connections. This is one where I have it limited to only my connections can see my connections. I don't have it open so second and third connections can see my connections. I like doing that because I protect my folks that I'm connected with. I don't want them to start getting a bunch of spam and other things because they were found through my LinkedIn profile. Change your profile photo and visibility. Again, this is similar to Facebook, but make sure that you go in and take a look who can see your photo. Again, this is when it's tricky because LinkedIn, we want people to see our photo. Usually LinkedIn is a very professional photo, and we want people to see that. But take a look at those and make adjustments as you see fit. Again, just like Facebook, you can review active sessions. You can go out and see where you're logged in and terminate those sessions if you don't need them anymore or you don't think that if they're not valid. And again, two-step verification. I've said it 3 times now. Anytime you can use two-step verification, use it. It is very, very easy. It is painless, and it helps you ensure only you are accessing your accounts. You can force LinkedIn to always use HTTPS. We talked about that way back when. This ensures all of your activity is encrypted and nobody can intercept what you're doing and read what you're posting or what you're putting on LinkedIn without going through the normal channels. And then don't post personal information. This one's tough because you want people to get hold of you. You want to put your information out there because you're looking for people who are interested in hiring you. But be very, very careful. LinkedIn has a very good messaging system. So if somebody's interested, they can contact you via the LinkedIn Messenger. You can then give them the information, how to contact you and so forth. So with that, I think Jennifer's going to jump back on and see if it lets you know that too.
Jennifer? And can you hear me? Sorry.
Absolutely, we can hear you now.
Yes. Okay, great. So you had mentioned appendices during your session. Can you just go through those quickly? And for everyone, don't feel like you need to write these things down. I know he's going to go through them quickly. We just want to make sure that people see them, and you can always revisit that at the YouTube link. So I don't know if you want to highlight anything, Ken, while you go through these.
Not really highlight much. I went through and I tried to put together step-by-step instructions on how to edit your profiles and so forth, everything I was talking about. So hopefully these will work for you. Google, I mentioned earlier, be careful if you're searching, but in this case, Google is your friend. All of this is very much out there on how to secure your different profiles and so forth. I did go through each of these. I did try all of these, and they worked for me. So
great.
Again, with and I'll say it very quietly so she didn't wake up, Alexa, you have to have the mobile app to go out and actually do any work on that.
Great. And while you're going through this, we did have someone ask if these slides are available, and I just wanted to remind people this session is being recorded and it will be posted on the YouTube channel. So while we won't have these in PowerPoint format to share with people, you will get a link tomorrow to the YouTube channel where the whole recording will be available, so you can go back and revisit and get the different sites that he's sharing, both during the presentation and during as part of these appendices. So that I just want to let people know that. Now we have a whole bunch of questions already. I'm going to start with, you had recommended a password manager. Someone wants to know, how do we know that that password manager site is safe?
That's a very good question. And if you go out to the better known sites like PCMag.com or some of the other IT sites and look for reviews of password managers, that will give you, number one, an independent review of the different password managers, but it also, you're going to a known site, you're going to PCMag, so you know where you're going, and then it will give you links to the different password managers. That's one way I get to different sites instead of Googling, give me a password manager, and you wind up going to one that's infected or is compromised.
Is there, and thank you for that, there's a follow-up question to that about, is there a password manager that you personally or professionally, that you recommend?
I apologize. I knew you were going to ask that. I should have looked. I do have one that I use at work, and for the life of me, I don't know the name of it. I apologize, but it did.
Well, if you can actually, I don't know, maybe if you get that for me before the email goes out tomorrow, I don't know if that's possible or not, but I could include it in the email that goes out to everybody.
I sure will. I'll do my best to get that to you.
That would be great. If not, the person who asked that, you're welcome to contact me, and I will get that out to you. So, another question is, any thoughts on using Facebook to log into other sites?
Well, that goes to, in a way, that goes to password sharing. I know a lot of people do that. A lot of people use their Google login or their Amazon, or I'm sorry, their Facebook login to access other sites. I'm wary of that, just simply because I'm wary of where my password is going. But it depends on how well you trust Facebook. If you think Facebook is going to keep your information private and not share it with this other site, knock yourself out. But I'm wary of doing things like that. I'll go out and set up a separate account and log in to whatever site I'm going out to. I know it's more difficult and more painful, but I'm a security professional, so I'm paranoid.
Well, we actually have someone from Regis's information security on the line, and he just kind of going back to the password manager, and actually someone else asked about LastPass.com. So the Regis information security officer recommends LastPass.com, LastPass.com. Someone else asked about that, so that person, at least you hear that someone recommends that. Is there any antivirus malware tool that you would recommend?
Well, I pay for, I use Symantec, and I go ahead and pay for that. There are some free ones. The one I used to use, now I'm going to forget it, ATV, I think it was. The one that I would stay away from comes from Kaspersky Labs. Kaspersky is a Russian company, enough said there. But like everything it's what you pay for. So Symantec is the one that I use, and I'm very happy with that. But again, PC Mag has that really good article on the different antiviruses out there. So that would be a very good resource to use.
Okay, and someone is saying AGV.
AGV?
What
Yes.
is AGV?
AGV is if it still is, I used to use that a while ago. AGV is a free, or it has a free version that you can use. Now, you don't get all of the protection when you use the free AGV, but it is relatively less expensive than some of the more commercial McAfee or Symantec. And you can use, there is a free antivirus piece. You have to be careful when you go out there, though, and make sure that if you're looking for the free AGV, that you click on the right free AGV, because they will. I've been out there before and clicked wrong, and all of a sudden they're asking for my credit card, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be free. But AGV is a good antivirus tool. A lot of people that like open source and free stuff use AGV, as I have for many years, until I went ahead and started paying for it.
And what are your thoughts on LifeLock?
Oh, great question. I've been a LifeLock member for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, if not longer. It seems kind of expensive. There are alternatives. Experian has their own tool now where you can sign up for protection. But as the industry has matured, so has LifeLock. And one of the big things that they're monitoring, one of the big things that they do, is you provide them with the information about you, and they'll monitor the hacker websites, they'll monitor the dark web to make sure that your information is not getting out there. Plus, they do give you, it's a form of insurance. So if your identity does get stolen, they will help you restore it, and they give you, I think it's up to $1 million to help restore your ID. So I'm a big fan of LifeLock. A year ago, my daughter started college, and she fell victim to a employment scam where some individual was posing to be a doctor and was looking for a transcriptionist, and it was one of these, you got to be careful of if it's too good to be true, you got to be careful. We were very, very careful, but it didn't sound right. So she cut it off, and I immediately established a LifeLock account for her, so that if it was nefarious, she was protected. So I personally like LifeLock.
We still have a bunch of questions, and some people have been very patient. I'm going to get there, but there's one more about the antivirus. So just to kind of close up this topic, would you recommend using your ISP provided antivirus?
Sure, absolutely. Of course, I will caveat that with, I do work for Charter, right? I'm in the industry, but that being said, we have contracts with the major firms. So I know Comcast has a contract with Symantec. I think Spectrum provides Symantec, not in a Spectrum site. So even though I work for them, I don't 100% know what antivirus they provide. But it's the same, and it's, in a lot of times I know with Xfinity, it's free. So little insider information about the industry. We would rather you use our antivirus. We would rather you go ahead and grab Symantec or McAfee off of your ISP site and use it, because your infected computer causes problems on our network. So if you're not using antivirus and you get infected with a bot, then you're spamming the rest of our network. So yes, absolutely, use the ISP software.
That is so interesting. That is insider. Thank you. Next question is, what if your Gmail account is hacked or you think it may have been hacked? Mobile location updates, wait, to show someplace you are not. Well, let's see. Does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Sort of, I think. I think the indicator that you've been hacked is that your mobile locator is showing sites that you've never been before. So the question is, does that indicate that your account may have been compromised? I would say probably, and very, very good idea to immediately change your password, make it complex, long, but also you might want to contact Google and let them know that you think your account has been compromised. I know recently Google has had some issues. I had to go in and change my password because they thought my account had been compromised. If you are seeing suspicious activity like your location services showing up places you've never been, then it's worth changing your passwords. And if you're reusing that password for other than your Gmail, make sure you change it everywhere where you're using it.
Along those same lines, is there an email host you recommend that's like you think is the most secure?
So so two things on that. I think you get a lot of protection from your ISP. Okay, it's in the ISP's best interest, as I stated before, when we were talking about using antivirus. It's in your ISP's best interest to do as much as they can to keep your accounts safe. I would, if you've got Xfinity or Spectrum or AT&T or Verizon, I would use what they provide. I also use Gmail. I think Google has done a very good job. I think everybody has problems, but Google is probably one of the better. I would be very careful about going to going to different sites that you think are more secure because they're less well known. The reality is that nothing is not well known on the internet. One of the biggest problems that we see in the industry is default passwords. And I can tell you that if somebody brings a system up, let's say they bring a new system up in the Amazon cloud, and they don't change the password, it will take less than 20 seconds before that system is compromised. It's just because you're going with an email provider that's not one of the big ones, and you think you have security by obscurity, be very, very careful.
Two more questions, and I think we will wrap it up. But what about security for other smart home devices like Ring or others?
Interesting that you mentioned Ring. The best thing that you can do on those home security devices, and I think of the ones out there, Ring is probably one of the better. Not that any of them are really bad. They've gotten much better. They use a protocol to communicate that is not well known. It's the Zigbee protocol. It's a very short protocol. So I would look at some of the reviews, some of the testing, the independent testing that's being done out there. I would look to make sure whatever you're looking at doesn't have any problems with being jammed, right? That's one of the biggest issues is if somebody's going to break into your house, if I get a Zigbee jammer, can I jam your frequency so that I can then open the window? And Ring, I know if somebody attempts that, it automatically trips the alarm. So there are things that you can look at, but for the most part, Ring, I think Amazon has or Google has a security out there. They've come a long way. It comes down to looking at the settings that you're out there transmitting and making sure you're aware of what they are and you're satisfied with them. And again, whatever you use from a password perspective to set up your home security, make sure it's as complex as possible.
Great. Now there's one last question, but before I ask it, I just wanted to ask, hopefully everyone can hold on. We're going to end on time, but I want to share the next 2 webinars and some additional information for everybody. So hopefully everyone just hang in there. So I don't know, this will be a really quick, hopefully, Ken, if you can answer this maybe in a minute. And you've given so much great information. Thank you. The last question is the usual goal of a hacker to get your financial information or more of your personal information, or what's, is there kind of a typical goal?
That's I will try to answer as best I can in a minute, but it really depends on the hacker. But the easiest is to get to your financial information, to get your credit card. That's the easiest, right? Because at least for a very short period of time, they can use that credit card to purchase things and grab money. The idea here is not to go after your credit card specifically, but to go after bulk credit cards. The more credit cards they're able to steal at one time, the better off it is. They're going to get shut down because most credit card companies are going to block them very quickly, but for that very short period of time, they can use them. If they get your personal information, if the attackers are going after your personal information, they can then set up accounts in your name, steal your identity. More often than not, though, they're going for the easy win, which is your credit card information. A lot now is more from a botnet perspective. They want to infect your computer so they can use it as a botnet, or the one that's coming out now is crypto mining. They want to compromise your system so that they can participate in crypto mining, which is a completely different topic, which would probably take an hour to talk about in and of itself.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I think we're out of time. I'm going to give a couple little pieces of information for everybody before we sign off. But first, just thank you, Ken. Oh my gosh, you gave so much great information. Hopefully, I know I learned a ton of stuff, and I have a laundry list of things I need to do, and I'm sure I'm not alone. So thank you, Ken, and thank you, everyone who participated. I hope it was helpful to you, and I'm glad, thank you for your questions. I'm glad we could get to them all. Tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier, everyone will receive an email. It's going to have a link to the YouTube channel where this will be posted, so you can look at it at your leisure. It's also going to include a 5-question survey. It's super short. It will only take a minute, and I really hope people can respond. It helps us know what we should do in the future, what topics to cover. The next 2 webinars I'm excited to share. The next one is actually next week on Tuesday, November 6th. This will also be in your email tomorrow from noon to 1 Mountain Time, and it will focus on managing stress during a job search. And then the December webinar will be on Thursday, December 13th, again from noon to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And it's going to focus on using imagination in prayer. So you will find more details for both of these webinars on the Regis Proud calendar, and I will send you that link tomorrow too. We will also post the webinars on our social media channels. So that's it for today. Thank you again so much, Ken, and thank you everyone, and have a good day.